Hey guys, welcome to my vlog. It's T here from S.T.E.M Fam, coming to you live from my bedroom. My topic for today's vlog is my recent trip to South Korea. I went there to visit my brother and his wife and my nephews, and I spent Christmas and New Year's there. And this vlog will just be about my experience and my time there and what I got up to while I was there. So thank you for joining me and get ready for some story time. So in preparation for this trip, I booked my flights through a travel agency. Star Travel is who I used, because I heard that they did a lay by your flight type deal. So I paid a deposit, $100 at the time I booked this, and then I just had to pay the balance of my flight 10 weeks out from my departure date. Um, my flights all up cost around the $1,800 mark, so $1,800, and that's kind of like what I was expecting. Through them I booked my flight to Korea on Air New Zealand. I flew economy and I flew direct, so my flight was 11 hours long there and 11 hours back. Once the flights were done and sussed, I had planned in my mind what I was going to do, because my brother actually lives in Daegu, which is several hundred kilometers outside of Seoul. So I booked my flight and then I booked a motel for the night in Seoul, near Seoul Station, which is where I would have been catching the train from to go to where my brother is. So I landed at Incheon Airport, and that's less than an hour out of the city, out of city centre Seoul, which is where I needed to go. So I caught the train from the airport straight into the heart of the city to Seoul Station, booked a motel that wasn't that far from there, and then the next day I went back to Seoul Station and caught my train to Daegu, where my brother and my family waited for me. So aside from booking my flights, I arranged, I kind of did my research about the trains and what I needed to do to book the train um, from the airport to Seoul. I looked all of that up. I looked up my accommodation, what was the closest motel to Seoul Station, and I found that. Also booked my train ticket from Seoul Station to Daegu, which is what I did before I got there. And also other prep for my trip was um, I knew I needed to be connected, so I prepaid a SIM. So I bought a SIM before I got there and I picked it up at the airport. So that was just some of my prep for the trip. Anyway, so when I think of Korea, I think of K-dramas and I think of K-pop. The first drama that got me into everything was a drama called Boys Over Flowers, and that is kind of what opened up my awareness to the K-drama, K-pop world. Since then, it's been an on and off thing for me. Now being a bit older, I still enjoy dramas and Korean movies, but I'm not as a fanatic as I kind of used to be. But I kind of feel like that's what it's like when you're younger, and as you get older, you just kind of like reality just kind of draws you back in, like work and other commitments. But that's kind of what got me into the K-pop, K-drama world. But also, it's a country with a really rich history. Um, Sad in parts. I mean, it's been dominated by several of its neighbors, so it's another big part of Korea. And I think one of the big things I noticed when I arrived was that if you're only looking at Korea through this K-drama, K-pop lens, then you'll probably get a bit shell shocked maybe, or surprised when you get there, because you realize it's actually not really about that at all. Korea is just like any other country, like NZ, like New Zealand, like any other country. um, there's just a lot of normal everyday people going about their business, and that is who you will see. Now, don't get me wrong, they're really stylish, and they know how to present themselves well. You'll see a lot of people into fashion, you see a lot of really good looking people and well presented people, you'll see that. But I mean, the majority of them are just normal people like you and me. Korea is also very well known for its beauty products, and I did a big fat fail, guys. I came back with no beauty products. I came back with nothing apart from some face masks and a cream from my sister-in-law, because it's just, I found it really overwhelming. Like, I had no idea where to even start. So on my second trip, yes, I am declaring that I will be going back. I don't know when, but when I go back there again, I'll be a bit more proactive in that area. But Korea is obviously well known for its beauty products. I mean, even like its surgeries as well. And I met a lady on the flight back, and she had eye bag surgery there, and she traveled there from New Zealand as well. So I mean, lots of people go to Korea for different reasons, but that's really what Korea is well known for. And I'm sure if you're watching, you either have known a K-drama or an actor or an actress or a K-pop group that you're really into and that you love. I think just for me though, and sharing with you guys, Korea is way more than just K-dramas and K-pop as well. It's a country, it's a beautiful country with a rich history, and yeah, it's got so many other charms as well. Story time about when I arrived. I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, I arrived in Chon Airport at 8 o'clock in the evening, and our flight was on time. I got there, guys. I was expecting like snow. It was kind of like New Zealand winter, so it was near -1. So it was cool, like definitely cooler, but it wasn't like freezing cold. So I was sweating. If you know me, you know that I just sweat just from a walk. I sweat. It's just yeah. So I was tired. I was sweaty. I managed to get my bags. And I was wandering around the airport. I don't know where I was going, trying to look for the airport sign, and I finally found it. And from the help of some of the bystanders as well, um, I picked up the SIM card that I prepaid, like I mentioned earlier, whacked it in, let the whole world know that I'm alive, I'm well, and I'm okay, and got in contact with my brother and let him know that, just letting him know, touching base with him and keeping him up to date about where I was going. So from there, I went and I caught my train into Seoul City, to Seoul Station where I needed to be, and that was pretty easy. That's the one thing I loved about my time in Korea. Everything was just convenient. Like, even though obviously everything was in the Korean language, so the Hangul characters, they also had Romanized characters or English letters for things, so I was still able to read kind of where I was going. Arrived at Seoul Station. I actually had no idea what I was doing, where I was going. I was just pretending like I knew. I even put on my mask, guys, and then after that was a bit of a fail. I took it off again because I was so hot. Like, I was sweating. Like, it's cold, but I'm sweating because I'm wearing a coat, and I just got these two big luggage bags. Finally found my motel. 3 flights of the stairs up, guys. I was struggling. Only to get there, and the guy tells me my room is up another flight of stairs. There is no elevator in this motel. But he helped me carry my bags up, so thank you. Spent my night there, and then I went back to Seoul Station and took my bullet train to Daegu where my brother is.